Hello, I am Shobhik De. Today, I will discuss TCP socket program in C. So, what is TCP? TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. The Transmission Control Protocol is one of the main protocol of Internet Protocol suites. So, for TCP socket program, we will make two programs. One is TCP server, one is TCP, and second one is TCP client. Both are written in C, and we will run this program on Linux environment because in our program we will use several header files which will easy to run in Linux. So here the first one is our server program. Here is several header files. The first one is stdio.h, which is standard input output. Second one is stdlib.h, which is the stores the type of several macro and various functions. And then string.h, unistd.h, and then it comes sys type.h, which is stores the definition of number of data type in system call. Then the socket.h, it is stores the number of structure needed for a socket. And net inet in.h, it is construct structure for internet domain address. Now, void error, it is a function to print the error messages in several time in our program. So void error construct character message, it will take the message from program, and p error is an inbuilt error function which will print the error message, and the exit one by which we will exit from our main program. So the main program starts here, the int argc argv. Here, when we will write any command line argument program in C, we will use the in argc and argv arguments. Here, int argc stores total number of parameters, and argv stores it is an array and it stores the original values of the parameters. So we will understand this when we will run this program. Then it comes if argc less than 2. That means when we will run our program, we will run as file name, our IP address, and the port number. If we will forget to give our port number, then it will print this error message, which is port number is not provided, and stder means it is a standard error function, and exit one. Here we will create some variables and character buffer which will take our message in buffer. Then socket structure, socket address, and socket address which is server addr, servr addr which is server address, and CLI address, that means client address. Then it comes socket len client, it is the client length, client message length. Then socket fd, it will make the socket function. Socket function creates at first f.inet, it is internet domain. F means address family. It will um, indicate us that it is an IPv4 address. Then socket stream, it is the type of IP. So SOC stream, it indicates that it is an TCP, and the 0, it indicates the IP protocol. Then if socket FD less than 0, if any error comes to creation in our socket, then it will show the error message that error in opening socket. Then B0 function, the work of B0 function is it will clear any data in whatever is referenced. That means we where we can reference as our B0, it will clear the stored message from that. So here we will indicate server address and size of address. It will clear the server address. Then port number equals to ATOI argv1. Here ATOI is a count. It is a function that converts strings to an any integer. It points by the argument. So it will convert the IP address in integer. Then server at addr.scene family is af.net. Here we will define this with our address family. af.inet is address family, which af stands for address family, and afinet is an address family that is used to designate the type of address that your socket can communicate with. Then the second comes server address syn addr dot s addr. Here equals to inaddr any. Inaddr many, it means it is a constant value. It contains only zero values. So then come server address dot syn ports equals to h tons port number. Here h tons means host to network short. It the work of h ton is it will convert the value between host and network in byte order. Then comes the bind function. Here, the bind function we written in if function. If so, the bind function work first. It will take the socket FD, that is file description, then the server address and socket addr, that is the two different structures, and then comes size of the address. Though, so if the bind is less than 0, then we will show the error message binding failed. And if the binding is successful, then we'll listen from socket fd equals to 5. That means it is our listen function, socket fd, and the 5 means it is backlog. That means it will work as a loop. Then comes CLI len equals to size of CLI adder. Here we will see client length equals to client address size of client address length. CLI len stores the size of client. Now new socket FD. It will now we write our accept function in new socket FD. So in our accept function, we see here it will take 3 arguments. First one is socket FD, then the struct socket address, that is client address, and the client length. Now, if new socket FD equals to 0, then error on accept. If any error occur in the in accepting, then it will show this error message. Now we will write an infinite loop by while 1. It is means a infinite loop. The infinite loop will make the continuous communication between server and client. So at first we see B0 buffer equals buffer 255. That means B0 will clear buffer for take new inputs. So now the n will read the message. That means read function will take new socket FD buffer and its size. That means if client will send any message, it will read that message. So if any error occurs in less than 0, then error on reading. Now printf will print the message sent from client. Now B0 will again clear the buffer. Then F gets buffer is 255 stdi in. F gets read, F get function reads byte from stream. It will take the buffer size and stdi in. Now n equals to write. Now we write the write function to write any message. So write function will take as same as read, that is new socket and buffer and buffer length, which will written in stdr length, that means string length. So if any error occurs on writing, then it will show this error message. Now to terminate from our program, we will write something to terminate. So in I equals to stdrncmp by buffer and 3 the buffer size. Stdrncmp means string compare. So when our program take this by message from server, it will terminate from our program. If I equals to 0, then it will break. After our execution of program, we will close our socket. So we write close new socket FT and close socket FT. So that is our server program. Now this is our client program. In our client program, the first part is as same as our server program, but there is some difference come in one extra header file will attach, that is netdb.h. So netdb.h is stores the host ent structure. That means it will store the information about host. Then the error function as same as TCP server. Then int main socket fd port number buffer structure added. Then again in one difference comes, that is host ent the server. It is come from netdb, that means host ent, it will store the server information. Then comes as same as our TCP. If any error occur in giving port number, then it will show this message. Then port number ATOI argument v, it will convert string to int. Socket FD, it will create the socket address, socket streams, IP, the IP protocol. Then so if any error occurs, then it will show the error in opening socket. Then the difference comes from here. Server equals to get host name by argument v. It means server equals to get host name will get the host IP address as argument v. As we seen, so as we told before, that argument v will store the IP. So the server will take the IP address by get hostname function. So if any error occurs by if our user forget to give any IP, then it will show this error message. Then the B0 will clear the server address to as B0 function works to clear. Then our address family, server address CNAV family equals to address family INET. Then again another difference come B copy. B copy will copy n bytes from server to server address. So here we'll see character server h address. Server will points h address and server address dot scene address dot s address addr, and server h length, server length in, sorry, it will take the server length by h length. So if So here is our connect function, which will write in if. So connect, as like previous, connect will take socket FD, socket then socket address and size of socket. So if connect function is less than 0, then we will show the connection failed if any error occurs. If not, we will connect it, then we will write our infinite loop to continuous communication. Then B0 will clear the buffer. If gets is pass string to server. If get function works to pass string to server here. So if gets take buffer 255, that means buffer size, and stdi in. So then the client write first. So the client have to write the message first. So we write the write function as first. As like our previous, write function will take same arguments, and if any error occurs, it will show the writing error. Then B0 will again clear the buffer, and n equals to, now it will read the message from server. So socket fd buffer 255, then if n equal less than 0, it will show an error message. So the message come from server. To print the message, we will write this printf function to write the message come from server. So again, at the end, to terminate this program, we will write as previous strn cmp by buffer and buffer size. If it will send, then break from the loop. So after terminating loop, we will close the socket FT and return 0 to return. So here is our client program. So now we will run these two programs. To run these two programs, we will open two terminals. So at first we will run our TCP server. So GCC TCP. Now it will compile successful. Now in server, we have to give our port number. Remember that the port number always greater than from 1024, because till 0 to 1024 the port number was reserved for particular work. Now we will provide the port number 888. Now our TCP server runs successfully, so it will not show any error. Now we'll run our client TCP. It will compile successfully. Now we have to provide the IP address, that is IP. So we are in same machine, so we will provide the loopback IP address, that is 127.0.0.1, and the port number which we will give in our server, that is 8888. Now run this program, it will run successfully. Now, if we write hi from server client, here in our server, it will show hi message. Now we will write hello from server, it will show the server hello message. Now, if we write anything from this, that is it will continue as in infinite loop. It is continue till it will continue till infinite connection. So for terminating from our program, we will write by to terminating from our program. Sorry. terminating our program, we write bye. Now we terminated from our program. So that is our TCP client server socket programming. Thank you.